Hello guys, and welcome to my channel. And today we'll be discussing one of the best books I've read this year, and that is Bruce Lee's Alive by Matthew Polly. And man, I have to say, this is one of the greatest biographies in which I ever read in my whole entire life. From top to bottom, this book was just outstanding. If you're interested in Bruce Lee, this book is for you. You get to know everything about this man, from his childhood all the way to his untimely death. And this book covers everything: his highlights, his flaws, his struggles, his success, especially his flaws, because Bruce Lee, Bruce Lee was a flawed man. He was human, after all. To be human is to be flawed, and Bruce Lee definitely was flawed, and that's what I like about this book, because it doesn't put Bruce Lee on a high pedestal as if he's perfect. Like he hasn't got no flaws. So, which makes him more relatable, more human, which I liked. But yeah, this book covers everything, man. Outstanding book. I'll do a quick overview over the book and a quick review and why you should read it. So I won't go too depth because I do want you guys to find out things by yourselves. So yeah, let's start. So yeah, talking about his childhood, you get to know a lot about Bruce Lee when he was a child, which I never knew. One thing I never knew was that he was a child actor. Before this, he was actually a child actor. He also did a couple of acting as a teenager as well. One popular one was called The Orphan, which he was an actor in, which was a popular film in Hong Kong at that time. So yeah, Bruce Lee was actually an actor first before he was a kung fu artist. But even with, Bruce used to get in a lot of street fights as a young man. A lot of street fights. He also had a lot of fights in school as well. There was one incident where he chased his teacher with a knife around the whole entire school, which was again displaying his flaws. He was a rather naughty kid, and yeah, and his parents were worried about him about that. But I felt like the number one way in which he calmed down, was able to transform himself into the man that we know him today, was none other than kung fu. Kung fu definitely had a huge impact in his life. It was kind of like his religion, even though he wasn't religious. He didn't believe in God, but that was something spiritual to him. It gave him a purpose. It gave him a way. This kept him focused and made him humble, and completely transformed his life into the man that we know him today. And yeah, definitely a huge influence within his life. The book also covers his life in America, where he was able to get a degree in philosophy, which shouldn't be too surprising, as anyone who follows Bruce Lee knows how impactful philosophy was in his everyday life, covering all the way through his martial arts. And during that time, he was also able to teach fellow students kung fu and showing his philosophy within martial arts. And he also did live demonstrations as well, showing his kung fu, wowing audiences already, with people already captivated by his charisma. His charisma was already super high up, even from then. All the way through his life, he was a very charismatic man. And through his live demonstrations and his kung fu, he was able to move through Hollywood as a famous martial arts instructor, where he was teaching martial arts to famous actors at that time, such as James Coburn and Steve McQueen, and plenty more. I believe he also taught actresses, what's her name? Sharon Tate. Yeah, Sharon Tate. He's also taught Sharon Tate as well. So yeah, he was mainly known throughout Hollywood as a martial arts instructor. But Bruce Lee wanted more than that. He wanted to be a Hollywood star. That was his big dream, was to make it big within Hollywood, be a Hollywood star, Hollywood actor, and he really struggled with that. And this book also does a good description of his struggles as well. Again, showing his humanity and showing how hard that Bruce Lee had it. He didn't get into the industry that easy, and this book definitely showed it. So with his struggles within Hollywood, Bruce Lee decided to take things into his own hands, and that's when he moved to Hong Kong, where he was able to produce three major films that made him into a star. And those three films were The Big Boss, The Fist of Fury, and The Way of the Dragon. Especially The Way of the Dragon, if you know that film, that iconic fight scene with him and Chuck Norris. One of the most famous fight scenes ever within martial arts history. And just all cinema, to be honest. A great film. But all three of those films made him into a big star in Hong Kong, and also a big star in America as well, but especially Hong Kong. He was a famous, famous man within Hong Kong. But even with great fame, also came quite a lot of temptations for Bruce. And one big temptation was women. I'm not gonna lie, he did have quite a few affairs during his time, during his marriage, especially at the height of his fame. Which, to be honest, I wasn't quite surprised of. But I believe his wife knew about it. I'm not quite sure if his wife knew about it, but yeah, he was. He did have affairs with his wife. He did cheat on his wife. But again, that also shows his flaws as a man. But yeah, definitely had quite a few temptations. Bruce Lee did. Then came with his success in Hong Kong. Then came his famous work, his most classic work, Enter the Dragon, which is, in my opinion, one of, if not the greatest martial arts film of all time. I mean, the acting, the fight scenes, the story was just top notch. Especially Bruce Lee's acting. Bruce Lee was outstanding in this film. Even the side characters, but Bruce Lee was just great in this film, man. Absolute classic. And even though how much of a classic this was, even though this was his dream, Bruce Lee couldn't see this dream, unfortunately, because sadly he died, I believe, 2 months or 1 month before the film was released. So Bruce never really got to see just how great this film was, and he never got to see his lifelong dream, which is very disappointing and unfortunate. But even so, you were still able to influence so many people, especially the directors, especially future directors now, throughout this film, especially how classic it was. Yeah, definitely a great film. My personal favorites. But even around during his death, if you guys didn't know, Bruce died of cerebral edema. I don't know if I pronounced it right. Um, but yeah, he that was the cause of death. Even though there's a lot of controversies around his death, people say he died of by the triads. Some people say he got poisoned. People say there was foul play during his death. But Matthew Polly does bring quite a lot of evidence to support the cerebral edema cause of death. Bruce definitely had quite a few health problems before he died. He had a seizure before he died. I think that happened like 3, 4 months before his death. So yeah, Bruce Lee definitely had quite a few health problems during that time. But yeah, Matthew Polly definitely does cover his death really well, holding a whole chapter just dedicated to it. So yeah. But yeah, like I said, if you're interested in Bruce Lee, this book is the book for you, man. This book is the book. Outstanding book from beginning page to the end page. Matthew Polly does a great display of talking about his life. And if you're a fan of his works, if you're a fan of his art, I highly recommend you read this book. Even if you're not that much of a fan, you just want to know Bruce Lee, who he was. This is a good book. You're not gonna find any perfect book better than this. So yeah, highly recommend. And you guys, thanks for watching, and hope to see you next time. Thanks.